will be starting soon. Oh, story time with Mr. Lamada, where all your dreams come true. Oh, he brings to life your favorite stories with a great big smile. You won't leave lonely, won't you start our reading? I just can't wait to be hearing story time with Mr. Lamada. He will be starting soon. Oh, story time with Mr. Lamada, where all your dreams come true. Oh, he brings to life your favorite stories with a great big smile. You won't leave lonely, won't you start on reading? I just can't wait to be hearing.
Good morning, and welcome to Story Time. Thank you so much for joining me today. Glad that we are here on this very special day. And I feel like we don't get to do Story Time on holidays too many times. So we're here today, and I hope that we catch as many of you live as possible. Thank you so much for joining in today. Glad that we're here together. We do have an amazing book. And of course, the spirit of Dr. Martin Luther King today is celebrated, is observed. And indeed, as we go out into the world, let us remember to hold to the principles that he held dear, making sure that community is together, and of course, most importantly, that justice is upheld. Thank you so much for joining in Storytime, and welcome. I hope that you've had a lovely weekend so far. I hope that this day of rest as well is a good one for you indeed. Thank you so much for being here. And of course, we do have one very, very beautiful book coming back to Storytime. Almost a year to the day since we last read this one, and this one is called Marvelous Cornelius, and this one is written by Phil Bildner and illustrations by John Parra, and this one is Hurricane Katrina and the Spirit of New Orleans. Marvelous Cornelius, coming up very shortly, and it is published by Chronicle Books of San Francisco. A very big good morning to you, and welcome to Storytime. And of course, we do apologize for coming in a little bit late. Technical difficulties here behind the scenes, updating things, doing things, and getting ready, but we are here. Thank you so much for joining in. Please drop us a message. Let us know you're here so we can say hi to you, of course. And also, if you're joining us later on for the recordings, you can still do the same, and we will try to be sure to say hi to you next time we're here. Thank you so much for joining in. And as you've seen, our image today is coming in from this wonderful book from Enough by Emily Easton and Ziyu Chen. So thought we should share that one today because I feel like also there's been many protesters, many people that have fought for justice and have had to endure so much. As we know, the story of Tommy Smith and of course John there, that they went through so much. If you have not seen the documentary 1968, you should see it, and you see what they went through after their protest at the 1968 Olympics. Thank you so much for joining in today, and of course, thank you to this special mention book. Enough by Emily Easton and Ziyu Chen, 20 protesters who, and you can find it on the Storytime platforms and of course where you find books. Thank you so much for joining in today. We will be getting ready for our story, and this one is called Marvelous Cornelius. Happy Monday to you. Thank you so much for joining in today. Glad that you are here together with us. Thank you, and of course together with this wonderful community that we have built. Thank you so much for joining in, and welcome. And please let me know where you're joining in from. Let us see who is with us this lovely morning, ready to enjoy a wonderful story. Good morning to you. How are you doing? Miles and Owen, thank you so much for joining us. And of course, Christine Costa, thank you so much for being here with us. Absolutely appreciate you. And of course, Matt, we're sending you love as well. Thank you so much for joining in Storytime. Absolutely appreciate you all. Thank you so much for joining in Storytime today. Good morning to you, Chris and Mitchell Adams. How are you doing? Bowden, how are you out there in chilly Vermont? Well, thank you so much for being here with us. We're excited to be here. And Marvelous Cornelius is one of our all-time favorite books, and we discovered it here. Well, thank you so much. And I'm glad that we've been able to share this jewel with you all. Thank you so much indeed. Absolutely appreciate that message. Bowden, how are you doing? Good to see you. Thank you so much for joining in Storytime today. Good to see you here, and I hope that you're enjoying this lovely Monday. Yes, chilly out there in Vermont, and hopefully we can warm you up a little bit here with a beautiful story. Thank you so much for joining us. Good morning to you, Amanda West. How are you doing today? And you're saying good morning and happy Monday and Martin Luther King Day from Sarah and Nathan out in rainy Illinois. Oh, rainy Illinois. We're together on that. It's been raining here, and I think it should continue to rain this coming week as well. So we'll see if there's a break coming up. I haven't looked at the weather today yet, but yeah, it's been raining out here a lot. Rained last night, rained yesterday, and expecting rain today as well. Thank you so much for joining in. Thank you for sharing. Happy Monday to you. And of course, yes, as we observe this special day, Martin Luther King Day today. Thank you so much for joining us on Storytime. Glad you're here. Sarah and Nathan, thank you for joining us. Good morning to you, Amanda Waltman, Vadimir. Thank you so much for joining in. Good morning to you, Bia. How are you doing out in Seattle? You say it's dark and cold outside, so we're snuggled up on the couch, hoping all of our Storytime friends have a beautiful holiday today. We couldn't ask for more than that. Thank you so much for joining in. Absolutely appreciate you, and I hope that you do enjoy our lovely story for today. Coming back to Storytime after a little while, but this one is special, and we'll be talking about that a little bit later as well. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you indeed. And of course, remember too that this week we do have special guests coming to Storytime. There's a new book that is coming out on January 17th. Yes, January 17th. Is that tomorrow? This one is arriving tomorrow. To Boldly Go by by Angela Dalton and Lauren Summer, and it is how Nichelle Nichols and Star Trek helped advance civil rights. Join in our conversation on January 20th. So the book comes out tomorrow, but Angela and Lauren Summer will be here on Storytime Live on Friday, January 20th. So join in that conversation and get to learn all about this magnificent book, and of course the wonderful personality that they got to write about, Nichelle Nichols. Thank you so much for joining in Storytime today. Absolutely appreciate you. And a little further forward down the line, we do have Marietta's book coming out as well. Jack the Library Cat is coming out on March 1st. So do look out for that one as well, and indeed find it where you find books. Pre-orders, I think, are ready right now. Thank you for joining in. And this is our lineup for this week. We do have some amazing books. We have The Art of Protest coming back. We have Head-to-Head, looking at some of the amazing personalities and some of the things that they have done to change the world. Yes, change makers. And of course, To Boldly Go. Marvelous Cornelius is here today. And then we have the last one on Friday. Yes. Oh, that one is a great one as well. Killer Underwear Invasion. And that one we'll be talking about fake news, how to identify fake news, how we know fake news and disinformation are bad, and of course we'll be diving deep into how can you avoid it as well. Thank you so much for joining in Storytime today. As you can see, it is a packed week ahead, so looking forward to that. And just a reminder too that tomorrow will be a pre-recorded session, as I'll be leaving early tomorrow for work. And so yes, this our story time will be pre-recorded, but we'll be bringing you an amazing story. So at the end, we'll show you what that story will be. Keep a lookout. Thank you so much for joining in Story Time today. Glad we're all here together. Please go now. Grab your hot chocolate. I know Amanda and Bia already cozied up, but I hope that you have everything as well to go with your story time too. Go. We have a few minutes before we get started. Thank you for joining in Story Time. A short message from Angela, and we'll be right back.
Hello, Storytime friends. My name is Angela Dalton, and I'm an author of picture books. Some you may have even seen read right here on Storytime with Mr. LaMotta. I'm excited to tell you about my brand new picture book called To Boldly Go: How Nichelle Nichols and Star Trek Help Advance Civil Rights. It comes out January 17th, and it's an amazing story about the legendary Nichelle Nichols and her role on Star Trek, which she left until a very special person reminded her about the impact that she was making, not just on television, but around the world. And I'm excited to tell you that myself and Lauren Semmer, the illustrator, will be on January 20th to read the book to you and to answer any questions that you might have and to tell you a little bit about the book and how we came up with the idea for it. I hope that you'll join us again on January 20th right here in Storytime with Mr. Lamada. Until then, if you'd like to learn a little bit more about me, please visit me at angeladalton.com. Okay, now we got to get back to the story today on Storytime with Mr. Lamada. I hope you're enjoying it. I know I am. Okay, see you soon. Bye.
Yes, indeed. Welcome back. Congratulations one more time, Angela Darton, and of course, Lauren Summer with a brand new book coming from Harper. And please do check it out on Friday. And great conversation as well. Thank you so much for joining in. Get ready for our story today. And yes, just looking at a few more pronunciations here on the guide at the back before we go into our story. We'll try. Let me see if I can get my New Orleans my New Orleans accent going here. We'll see. We'll try. But thank you so much for joining in. Please get ready for this one. Marvelous Cornelius, Hurricane Katrina, and the Spirit of New Orleans. Yes, by Phil Bildner, illustrated by John Parra, and of course being read with permission of the publishers, Chronicle Books of San Francisco. Are you ready? Oh, are you ready? All right. There are a few things. New Orleans. Oh. Marvelous Cornelius, Hurricane Katrina, and the Spirit of New Orleans. And this one is written by Phil Bildner, illustrations by John Parra, and we're reading it with permission of the publishers, Chronicle Books of San Francisco. And I must mention, too, that we're reading Marvelous Cornelius today because Marvelous Cornelius is a sanitation worker, as you can probably tell from the picture. And if you already know the story, is a sanitation worker from New Orleans. And it is based on a true story. It says on a true on a real person, Cornelius Washington, and we'll read a little bit more in the back about that. But also, there is a video, I think I've shared it before, and I'll try and share it again, of him actually doing the work. And unfortunately, I think he passed away in 2008. But a great story still, and so much energy that he brought, so much joy that he brought into his community. And so we share this one today because, too, if you remember, Dr. King was a big advocate, supporter of sanitation workers. In fact, the night he was murdered was when he was out in support of sanitation workers. So this one is a special book, and of course, special connections to this very day. Thank you so much for joining in today. Now we'll get started with our story. Marvelous Cornelius, Hurricane Katrina, and the Spirit of New Orleans. Even if it's called your lot to be a street sweeper, go out and sweep streets like Michelangelo painted pictures. Sweep streets like Handel and Beethoven composed music. Sweep streets like Shakespeare wrote poetry. Sweep streets so well that all the hosts of heaven and earth will have to pause and say, here lived a great street sweeper who swept his job. Wow. And those are the words of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. In the quarter, there worked a man, known in New Orleans as Marvelous Cornelius. In the quarter, there worked a man, known in New Orleans as Marvelous Cornelius. Morning! He saluted the silver-haired man with the Times-Picayune tacked under his arm. Greetings! He waved to the couple with the baby on the balcony. Ma'am! He nodded to the woman shaking rugs out at her front window. Look at all their smiling faces. A little hello can go a long way. And good morning to you too, Cornelius. And when his truck rounded the turn, my young uns, he called to the kids crowding the corner. Marvelous Cornelius, they cheered. Marvelous Cornelius. Yes, my young'uns, good morning. Oh. At each home, Cornelius sashayed to the curb and shimmied to the hopper, unloading the garbage. Not a single praline wrapper even stayed on the streets. And those spotless streets, oh, how they sparkled. Yes. I hope that your job makes you this happy, or you can go into your job with so much joy. At each home, Cornelius sashayed to the curb, shimmied to the hopper, unloading the garbage. Not a single praline wrapper even stayed on the streets. And those spotless streets, oh, how they sparkled. Thanks to one man, Marvelous Cornelius. Ah. Woo, 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 he called to his driver when it was time to stop. Whoa! Rat-a-tat-tat, rat-a-tat-tat. He strammed the side when it was time to move. Hooty-hoo, hooty-hoo, his favorite call of all, showtime! Do you want to try it with Marvelous Cornelius? All right, let's stop the driver. Woo! 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 All right, time to go, driver. Rat-a-tat-tat. Rat-a-tat-tat. Hooty-hoo! Hooty-hoo! Showtime! Ah. Yes, indeed. Cornelius front flipped to the curb and flung the bags over his head, behind the back, between his legs, into the truck. Oh my goodness. Quite the moves. He lined bags along the curb and then launched them. Bag after bag after bag after bag after bag. They landed in a perfect pyramid inside the hopper's metal mouth. Wow. Can you match Marvelous Cornelius' tricks? Something to try today as we put away the trash. Oh. Bang! He clapped the covers like cymbals and twirled the tins like tops, wheezing and spinning back and forth across the street. Oh. Such a happy guy, Cornelius. Love it. Yes, indeed. Marvelous Cornelius. He clapped the covers like cymbals and twirled the tins like tops, wheezing and spinning back and forth across the street. And just like those twisting tops, Cornelius danced too, tangoing up Toulouse, samboing down St. Peter, rumboing up Rao, cha-chaying down Charters, and everyone danced along. I want to get up and dance right now. Oh, yes. And just like those twisting tops, Cornelius danced too, tangoing up Toulouse, samboing down St. Peter, rumboing up Rel, cha-chaying down Charters, and everyone danced along. The old ladies whistled and whirled. The old man hooted and hollered. The barbers, bead twirlers, and beignet bakers, all of them bounded behind the one-man parade. Oh. Does anything more say Spirit of New Orleans than that? Yes. But then one day, the storm came, the great city filled with water. Oh no. What was to be done? Yeah. And what a flood it was. People and pets, parks and playgrounds washed away. Schools and shops, streets and streetcars washed away too. For far too long, water everywhere. A gumble of mush and mud. Wow. Yeah. And we know it too. We think of our friends right now who've been experiencing these floods out here in California and so many other places. We just heard of a tornado the other day. So much happening. People and pets, parks and playgrounds washed away. Schools and shops, streets and streetcars washed away too. For far too long, water everywhere. A gumble of mush and mud. What was to be done? When those waters finally fell away, Cornelius looked out at the mountains of ruins, some as high as the steeple atop St. Louis Cathedral. It would take thousands of me to clean this, he wept. Millions. Yeah, look at that. Oh, that damage. And Cornelius pondered, knowing it would take a lot to clean this up. It would take thousands of me to clean this. Millions, in fact, he wept. Oh. I'm sorry for your city, Cornelius. Cornelius rose. He dried his eyes, for his spirit and will were waterproof. Oh, I love that. Yes, Cornelius rose. He dried his eyes, for his spirit and will were waterproof. May your will and your spirit be waterproof, just like Cornelius. And just like he did every morning, he emptied the garbage into his hopper. And the kids who crowded the corner, they pitched in too. So did the silver-haired man, the couple from the balcony, the woman with the rugs, the old ladies and old men, the barbers and bead twirlers and beignet bakers. Everybody pitched in. Love that community spirit. Love it. Love it. Yes. And just like he did every morning, he emptied the garbage into his hopper. And the kids who crowded the corner, they pitched in too. So did the silver-haired man, the couple from the balcony, the woman with the rugs, the old ladies and old men, the barbers, bead twirlers, and beignet bakers. Everybody joined in. Others too, yeah, from Brooklyn and Boise, Baltimore, Bakersfield, Syracuse, Seattle, Santa Fe, San Antonio. People came from all over. They streamed to the Crescent City. Thousands, millions, a flag of humanity. Ah, yes, indeed. The world has a way of coming together at the toughest of times, doesn't it? Yes, others too joined in from Brooklyn and Boise, Baltimore and Bakersfield, Syracuse, Seattle, Santa Fe, San Antonio, all over. They streamed to the Crescent City. Thousands, millions, a flood of humanity. Yes. Oh, Marvelous Cornelius is back. Hooty hoo! Marvelous Cornelius cheered. Hooty hoo! Hooty hoo! You wanna try cheering with Cornelius? Hooty hoo! Hooty hoo! Hooty hoo! As the great city rose again, Marvelous Cornelius, he passed on. But as for his spirit, that's part of New Orleans. New Orleans forever after. Yeah. New Orleans forever after. Marvelous Cornelius, he passed on. But for his spirit, that's part of New Orleans. Yes, that's his legacy. And that is the end of our story today. But I'm just going to read the author's note really quickly, and then just to give us some more context and background into this story. So here we go. In the years following Hurricane Katrina, I visited New Orleans many times to help in the cleanup and recovery. Often, I chaperoned groups of teen volunteers. When I did those trips, always evolved into incredibly uplifting and life-affirming experiences. They always became about the people. One person I met was Katie Reckdom, a reporter from the Times-Picayune. While Katrina was lashing the Gulf Coast in August of 2005, Katie was giving birth to her son, Hector, at Touro Infirmary in New Orleans in Gardens District. After meeting Katie, I read some of her archived articles, including the one titled Talking Trash. It was a feature about Cornelius Washington, a sanitation worker in the French Quarter who sang, danced, and performed tricks, a wizard of trash cans. I had to learn about him. Sadly, Cornelius passed away not long after Hurricane Katrina. But with Katie's help, I located his mother, Mrs. Mary Wiley. Miss Mary still lived in the tiny town of Waterproof, Louisiana, where she had raised Cornelius. Miss Mary and I spoke on the phone several times. She sent me a letter too, a handwritten letter filled with memories of Cornelius. Whenever I read it, it was as if I had seen Cornelius in video clips. The bald-headed man with the big hoop earring and the New Orleans drawl was reading to me. Cornelius' story was the flavor of folktales and folk heroes like John Henry, and by incorporating repetition, alliteration, and exaggeration, I have tried to honor those qualities in the telling of this story. Still, it must be said that while Cornelius was certainly a showman, he may not have twirled lids like tops or clapped them like cymbals. He had signals and codes, but they weren't the exact ones described here. The garbage bags he threw into his hopper probably didn't land in a perfect pyramid, nor did the distraction following Katrina rise as high as the steeple atop St. Louis Cathedral. And though he was celebrated and beloved in his neighborhoods, he was not called Marvelous Cornelius, but he deserves to be. On so many levels, Cornelius symbolizes what the city of New Orleans is all about: the energy, the spirit, the magic, the people. That's what brought all those volunteers to the Crescent City. And inside each one was a little bit of Marvelous Cornelius. To find out more about the real Cornelius Washington and to learn how to write your own story in American folk tradition, well, you can go to www.chroniclebooks.com/Marvelous Cornelius. And I just thought we should share that with you here on Storytime. Thank you so much for joining in. And that is the end of the book. Catch me on the other side of this short message. Thank you for being here with us on Storytime today.
Hello, Storytime friends. My name is Angela Dalton, and I'm an author of picture books. Some you may have even seen read right here on Storytime with Mr. LaMotta. I'm excited to tell you about my brand new picture book called Too Boldly Go, How Nichelle Nichols and Star Trek Help Advance Civil Rights. It comes out January 17th, and it's an amazing story about the legendary Nichelle Nichols and her role on Star Trek, which she left until a very special person reminded her about the impact that she was making, not just on television, but around the world. And I'm excited to tell you that myself and Lauren Semmer, the illustrator, will be coming here on January 20th to read the book to you and to answer any questions that you might have and to tell you a little bit about the book and how we came up with the idea for it. I hope that you'll join us again on January 20th right here in Storytime with Mr. LaMotta. Until then, if you'd like to learn a little bit more about me, please visit me at angeladalton.com. Okay, now we got to get back to the story today on Storytime with Mr. LaMotta. I hope you're enjoying it. I know I am. Okay, see you soon. Bye.
Welcome back indeed. I'm looking back at some of these pronunciations in here that the author put, and no, that's how they're supposed to be said. And I know for sure, Praline, I did not say that. God chatters. Bene. I've been getting that one wrong too. So you can practice your own. And how would you say that? New Orleans? I love it. Thank you so much for joining in Storytime today. Thank you for being here indeed. And of course, this has been our book for today. Marvelous Cornelius, Hurricane Katrina, and the Spirit of New Orleans. And I love that. Yes, indeed, the Spirit of New Orleans. And on this special day, the spirit of Dr. Martin Luther King lives on. And indeed, may we uphold justice. May we in our communities hold each other accountable to the highest of standards. Thank you so much for joining me Storytime today. Glad that we were here together. Will it always be perfect? No, but we have to keep trying. Try and try again. Thank you so much for joining in today. I hope that you do have a lovely day indeed today. Thank you for joining in. I am glad that we're here. Tomorrow we bring back another one that has been here on Storytime once before, but we're bringing it back. Yes, head to head. 18 linked portraits of people who changed the world. Join in for this one and find out who we'll be reading about. And this one will be pre-recorded tomorrow, because I have to be out of this place early, heading to work for some training. So who indeed have a pre-recording of this one, but please join in. It will be fun, I guarantee you, and it is a good one indeed. So much to ponder, so many things to think about. For example, I think in here it mentions, like what are some connections, what links a person like Rosa Parks to Gandhi? What do you think? To Mahatma Gandhi? Oh, what indeed links Mother Teresa to Angelina Jolie? What do you think? Join in tomorrow and find out all of that. Head to head coming to you tomorrow on Story Time. So do join in for this one. Thank you so much for being here today. I am so thankful that we get to spend this time together. We got to spend this holiday together. And indeed, thank you. Thank you so much. My heart is glad. My heart is fuller. Thank you because of you all. Thank you so much for being here. And our special mention today is Enough. 20 protesters who changed America. And this one is by Emily Easton and Ziyu Chen. And we've read it here on Storytime. We've had conversation with Emily here on Storytime. Do check it out. And of course, our feature picture today is this one with Tommy and John when they raised their fists proudly. Yes. And yes, we have to turn up. We have to stand up. We have to show up. And we encourage you all, indeed, stand up for what's right, show up for what's right, turn up for what's right. Thank you so much for joining in Storytime. It's not easy. It's not easy, but we have to try. Thank you so much for being here with us on Storytime, and a wonderful lineup too that is coming up this week. I hope that you're ready for it. It is fantastic. Then those are some of the books that are coming up. Well, those are the books that are coming up this week, including To Boldly Go. It is finally out. How Nichelle Nichols and Star Trek help advance civil rights. Thank you so much for joining in. It is out tomorrow. Please get your copy, or indeed find it at your local library. And of course, remember too that Angela Darton and Lauren Summer will be here on Friday for a conversation with us here on Storytime. Thank you so much for joining in. Absolutely appreciate you. And of course, March 1st, we're looking forward to that one as well, as Jack, the library cat, joins our community. Thank you so much for being here. Glad we were here on Storytime together and absolutely love it. Marvelous, Cornelius. Let us see who was with us this morning enjoying that wonderful story. But before then, there's a beautiful message to everyone from Chrissy Mitchell-Adams and Bowden out in a very, very cold Vermont today. Say thank you again. Love this book and happy Martin Luther King Day. Recommend everyone check out Hank Willis Thomas' new sculpture, The Embrace, representing Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and Coretta Scott King's legacy. Oh, thank you for sharing that. People got to the comments. Click on that and please do check out that. Indeed, I'll be doing that immediately when we're done with Storytime. Thank you, Chrissy Mitchell-Adams. And of course, thank you, Bowden, for sharing that one. I hope that you have a wonderful day indeed, a wonderful MLK day. And yes, may his spirit live on forever. Thank you so much for joining in Storytime. Thank you, Amanda. Thank you, Baby Beer. Isn't it? This is just the perfect book for today. And love it. And yes, may we continue to strive for justice and to challenge ourselves. Life is about evolving. When we learn, we do better, right? Like Maya Angelou says, do your best every time, and then when you do your best until you know better, and when you know better, do better. Thank you so much for joining in Storytime. Absolutely appreciate you all. Good morning to you as well, my brother Bijangambaya, all the way out in Lusaka, Zambia. Love you to bits. Thank you so much for joining in, my brother, and hopefully see you soon in person. Yes, and we can go around, running around Lusaka as we always do. Thank you so much for joining in today on Storytime. Good morning to you one more time, Amanda Wortman and Bia. I hope that indeed you did enjoy that story. Well, you say you enjoyed it, and I hope that those snuggles are going, so good. Yes, the best way to read a book indeed. Thank you so much for joining in Storytime today. Absolutely appreciate you. Sarah and Nathan out there in rainy Illinois, please do stay dry, do stay warm. Thank you so much for joining us today on Storytime. Hugs to you, and see you again on Storytime next time. Thank you so much for joining in, and good morning to you as well, Miles and Owen, thank you for joining us out in Massachusetts. Thank you for being here with us, everybody. Absolutely appreciate you. I will put Chris and Mitchell Adams' comment one more time. So please remember to go to that and check out that sculpture. Thank you so much for being here on Storytime. Much love from me, and I will see you again tomorrow for more Storytime. Bye-bye.
Story time with Mr. Lamada. He will be starting soon. Oh, story time with Mr. Lamada, where all your dreams come true. Oh, he brings to life your favorite stories with a great big smile. You won't live lonely, won't you start our reading? I just can't wait to be hearing story time with Mr. Lamada. He will be starting soon. Oh, story time with Mr. Lamada, where all your dreams come true. Oh, he brings to life your favorite stories with a great big smile. You won't live lonely, won't you start all the reading? I just can't wait to be hearing stories, some stories from far away, others right here in my neighborhood. Story time. Ooh. Story time. Story time with Mr. Lamada. He will be starting soon. Story time with Mr. Lamada, where all your dreams come true. Oh, he brings to life your favorite stories with a great big smile. You won't live lonely, won't you start all the reading? We just can't wait to be hearing. Brings to life your favorite stories with a great big smile. You won't live lonely, won't you start all the reading? We just can't wait to be hearing